On this episode of On Tap, years after making their first beer, Pryes Brewing opens a riverfront taproom.
And we head to Lupulin Brewing Company in Big Lake to hear how they are growing to meet demand.
Finally, we enjoy the food and drink at New Bohemia, the new American craft beer hall.
Welcome to another episode of On Tap. I'm Ben Hale, joined by Danica Peterson. We're here at New Bohemia. We're at their Roseville location, and they have put this delicious spread of food in front of us. Got some brats, this giant pretzel, fries, curds. It all looks delicious.
Yeah, there's a lot of food, and we're enjoying the patio here, taking in the last bit of summer, early fall.
That's right. What are you drinking today, Danica?
Well, today I'm drinking the Oatmeal Stout from Summit. It's on Nitro. It's more of a winter beer, but I just couldn't wait. It's too good.
And I am drinking from AleSmith out in San Diego, the Hall of Fame 394, which is the Imperial IPA version of their Great Pale Ale, and it's really tasty. So today's episode, where are we going to take a look at?
Well, we're going to catch up on New Bohemia and everything they're doing here, and we're going to look at Lupulin Brewing Company in Big Lake. But first, we're going to check out Pryes in Minneapolis.
Yeah, Pryes. You've been enjoying their beer for several years, even before they had a brewery.
This whole thing really came about when I took the most professional people that I had in my professional career, I brought them all into one kind of group, and from then we decided, let's make this into a company. We're serious about this. We want to take this to the next step, and trying to figure out how we can possibly get it alignment so that we can get have an opportunity. We can make professional beer and get it on the market.
We knew that we wanted to take it slow. We didn't want to be first to market. We wanted to be, for us, we wanted to be best in market.
And so we operate underneath what's called the dual proprietorship. We started brewing our first batch in 2014 at Lucid, and that's when we were able to have Miraculum come to the market.
We wanted to get the brand out there. We wanted to have people kind of recognize our company and our beer before we took the step out into the public with a larger space, a tap room.
I think a cool thing about the dual proprietorship with Lucid is that we're actually hands-on. So versus a contract where you just give a recipe to somebody else and they make it for you. I was at Lucid all the time.
We learned a lot in that process, what to do, what not to do, and through that process, we understood what we needed to do to get to this point.
And I went to the American Brewers Guild, and so based upon that and getting everything together and formulating recipes and get everything going, we were able to go with Miraculum, which we felt was a great IPA. It was something that wasn't being offered as far as the taste profile goes, and so it was one of those things that all my friends were drinking all the time, so why not just take it, make it, turn it into a professional batch and release it. I drink Miraculum every day. It's one of those beers that when you come out and you have a beer, it's one of those things that kind of hits the both balanced sides of being malty and having your hop profile. And I love IPAs, so.
How did you settle on this location? What was it about this location that really drew you in?
We were actually signed and ready to go on this other space in Northeast. But things fell through in the last moment.
Looking at so many different spots and so many different locations, it turns into probably one of the hardest things we ever had to do. Real estate by far is just very challenging. There's only so many buildings that fit a brewery, that have the ceilings, the space, the warehouse structure that allows you to do manufacturing. And through looking at that, we found this space, and just instantly on walking in, we knew it was the right spot.
We've gone through about 10 different locations and finally found this beautiful place on the river.
Well, the first thing and foremost is that we're right on the historic Mississippi River. Traditionally, when you look at all breweries, they're always next to a river or a body of water or something. So the fact that we're able to open up the brewery right next to our Mississippi River it's incredible.
This is a 13,000 square foot facility. 6,000 is dedicated to the tap room, and production is in the back there. So we are able to go from about 800 barrels per year to 20,000 now. So quite a big step. Another thing we learned is a lot of the cost goes into those small steps from when you're a small brewery to a medium brewery to a large brewery. So we really went from a tiny brewery to a large brewery to really skip over all those costs there. But I always like to talk about the tap room because it's amazing. So it's this beautiful tap room, amazing beers. We focus on quality, craftsmanship, character, and it's really just a place you have to come and experience yourself.
What is this right here, and why is it in your tap room?
It's a game that's very different. It's the first one. It's in this state. It's the second state of all the United States that has this version. This is feather bowling. So if you're looking at feather bowling, it may just look like some green lawn with a feather in it and some cheese wheels, but what it is actually, it's very similar to like bocce and like roly-poly and shuffleboard, and the fact that what you do is you roll this cheese wheel down this lane, and the lane is concaved. What happens is your cheese wheel will actually go back and forth, and you're trying to get closest to the feather. And the first person to 10 wins.
It's a Belgian game. It was played in the grain troughs of breweries. They use this big wheel of cheese to score points, and it's kind of evolved over time, and we brought it to the tap room, and people are loving it. So.
Tell me a little bit more about some of the different beers, some of the different beers that you have on tap. Let's just kind of go through them. We talked a little bit about Miraculum. Then you also have a session IPA. So tell me about that beer and what people can expect from that beer.
So I like drinking beer. And so I needed a beer that, while it gave me my tropical, gave me my IPA notes, I need to make a beer that I could consume a lot more. And so just how IPAs are usually a lot more in alcohol, a session really hits that, so that I get my hop notes and my tropical, my citrus in a beer that I can consume all day. It's a big deal to put things in just and still being able to operate while testing the product, as you want to say.
All right, the Imperial Red. Tell us about that one, what people can expect from that.
Yep. So the Imperial Red is a nice. It kind of falls on the level of still being an IPA, but it's still malty. It has great sweetness to it, and that it comes with 8%. So it's a very big beer, and it's one of those things that as you're drinking you'll get some nice dark tones, dark notes, and that's kind of the hops that we use along with the malt bill for it.
The Blonde. Yeah. Tell me about the Blonde.
The Blonde for us is one of those nice summer springy beers. A lot of blondes get bad names because they basically don't taste like a lot of much. But that's something that we wanted to change. We wanted to make it so that our blonde actually has some good flavor to it. It is a craft beer. We should taste all these things. So our blonde has a lot of flavor to it. We think that with the lemon peppercorn notes, it just gives you a nice balance when it comes to just having something that you can enjoy on a patio or whatnot that doesn't have a huge profile to it.
You have a stout as well.
Yes. So the stout is a huge beer that people love. If you're a dark beer drinker, the stout kind of gives you this amazing chocolate flavor. Although there is no chocolate and there is no lactose in it, it has this nice sweet flavor. It's got 2 different chocolate malts into it, and it just gives this nice profile. It's not super heavy, nice thin body, and it's very easily drinkable.
And now the Cascade Pale Ale is coming out as well. That was really good. I had that first thing when we got here. It was the first one I had.
It's an ode to just knowing that you can do a lot with 1 hop and 1 malt. And so the Cascade beer is really saying that this is what we have based upon our brew system and what we know how to do. If we can take 1 hop and 1 malt and not overcomplicate it, have a beer that is just as delicious as all the rest, we really feel like we did that with the Cascade Ale.
What's next as far as your beer menu? What else do you want to be able to bring into the tap room here?
Well, now that we caught up with all the taproom beers, it's really about having us starting to have some fun. So now we're going to come up with a bunch of sours. We're starting our barrel aged program.
We're super excited about barrel aged. We have the barrels ready. We have the setup back there, but we haven't gotten into it yet. And that's something I think everyone wants to try.
We're going to have everything from white to red to white wine barrels, some bourbon barrels, maybe even you'll see some brandy barrels too.
Why was it important to you to have a on-site food vendor?
I think the relationship between food and beverage is so strong that we didn't want to have something that was a little random for us. We wanted something that would complement what we're serving. So we thought up this guest kitchen idea. And so we can, talk to our best accounts and say, we have this space for you. You've been hosting us for all these years. We'd like to host you for a while.
And so what that does is we can actually control the experience in here so that you'll have amazing food from an amazing vendor.
When he started to build out the brewery, we started talking about the idea of him having a kitchen here and talking about them having a rotating chef. And I said, I would love to be part of it. I said, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs trying to figure out, like, how do you actually execute this? It sounds great on paper, but like, how do we staff it? How do we execute what we're doing?
When it came to having the space that, from what I know, we're the only people in the country that has this extended stay, I would say, pop-up kitchen where they stay for a certain period of time, and then when their period's done, then somebody else that carries one of our products will come in and do another experience. It just came to the point where if we're going to figure this thing out, it's an honor to have Peter with so that we can try to figure this out, because it's very difficult when you start something brand new that nobody's ever done. There's nobody to call up and ask questions to.
I hope that when people come into Pryes and they see the food offerings here, that they realize that when you come to Pryes, you're not just coming for, not that there's anything bad about food trucks, but usually there's a limited menu on what you have on a food truck. And so we have 9 items on our menu, which is a lot more to offer than an average brewery has that would usually have a food truck. So I think seeing that there's a larger variety of options.
What are some of the pizzas that you have created that are here at Pryes?
These are our 3 specialty pizzas that we do. We do a little bit of a crispier, crunchy dough, but we didn't want a cracker crust like pizza Roma or pizza Napolitana. But once we build the pizza, it's all about architecture. How will this eat? How will we construct the food on the pizza? How will it cook? We cook it at an 800 to 900 degree wood-fired oven. Our Red Wagon pizza, which is probably our #1 pizza at both Pryes and at the restaurant, which is our house-made sausage, banana peppers, soppressata, our house-made big-infused balsamic, garlic salt, cracked red pepper, and you can see on the top of the pizza where it kind of, the soppressata, instead of slicing it like a pepperoni, we slice it like a ribbon, and we stand it up so the fat can render down into the sauce, and it kind of changes the structure of the sauce a little bit. So that's kind of like your sausage and pepperoni pizza, but on steroids, like way better, not your average sausage pepperoni pizza. Then we have a chicken-based pizza. It's a redwood barbecue, which is our sriracha chicken, barbecue sauce, our house-made barbecue sauce, red onions, and then micro cilantro on top. The real standard barbecue pizza. And then we wanted to go vegetarian, so this is our olive oil, which is a pesto-based, our house-made ricotta, and then olives, artichokes, finished with crushed black pepper and lemon juice.
It's a lot of hard work. Brewing is not easy. Our biggest focus for our job is to make a consistent product and make the best product that we possibly have for your enjoyment.
We've been actively building the business for 5 years, so just understanding what we can do in the tap room and how we can evolve the experience here and how we can make it better for our guests.
I love the fact that we put ourselves in an opportunity that we can create, we can share with people. I think just in having somebody just sit down and take time away from their normal life and having a beer is it's just an amazing honor to be a part of that, and to have that creative spell to influence their good times and have them relax. It's a big deal to us.
We had a great time out at Pryes Brewing, and Danica, I think we need to go back because I need to take you on in some feather bowling. That looked awesome. We didn't even get a chance to do it.
We didn't, but that's all right. The beer was delicious and the food was great too.
Sure was.
Well, next we're going to look at Lupulin Brewing in Big Lake, where the accolades and the demand have been racking up, and they're working hard to meet them.
The brewery, we were focused on the Northwest Metro because at that point a lot of the breweries were in Minneapolis, Northeast, and there wasn't a lot of breweries out here in the Northwest Metro area. And I'm from Monticello, Matt's from Montrose. We knew that the Northwest area needed to get into that brew scene, preferably on a road that was leading north on the cabin traffic.
Tell me about your space here.
The tap room was really designed around, again, we're in the northern part of Minnesota. A lot of Big Lake used to be kind of the cabin area where people from Minneapolis used to go, and now we're out of the city. So we try to make it more warm, comforting with the wood that's on the background. Again, we're in kind of the Scandinavian country, so you have that warmness. The tap room was designed for one, to give people more of an open area, but also if they wanted to have a little bit of privacy and have a date, they could go over in the corner around the fireplace that comes on in the winter and have a nice little conversation alone over there. If they wanted to chat, continue to have chats with our beer tenders, they could sit up at the bar and talk to the beer tenders. So it kind of gives people choices within the tap room. We have a new patio, outdoor seating patio, that by calculations should be able to withstanding and seating in that 60 to 80 person range.
We have a 10-barrel brew house, a 2-vessel. We started with 3 10-barrel fermenters and a bright tank.
So we were very limited in those first 2 years for draft or can. We did in the second year, we started offering bottles.
Since then, we've expanded with 4 30-barrel fermenters and a 30-barrel bright tank. We also, with that expansion, started canning a couple of our IPAs, which, considering our name, Lupulin, it's fitting that our main beers are IPAs.
We were very fortunate to be able to come up with Lupulin Brewing as our brewing name, that there was not a registered trademark at the time, back in 2012 when we actually applied for our LLC and worked with it. There was plenty of beers out there with Lupulin in the name, like St. Lupulin everybody knows of as Odell's beer, but we were fortunate and we applied for it, and it's been a great marketing tool for us because especially the beer connoisseurs and people really, they understand what lupulin is. They understand that's the active, that ingredient that creates that bitterness and that fruitiness and that aroma within the beers.
The one beer that we've had on tap ever since we opened was Belgian Blonde. Pretty traditional, 6.5%, nice Belgian character, but not overwhelming. Blissful Ignorance. It was originally Blissful Ignorance number 4. Blissful Ignorance as a series we came up with to be an experimental double IPA series. They've all been right about 9%, really just playing with different hop combinations and things. For the 4th one, we took a little inspiration from a trip that my dad and I had taken out to Vermont. Drank beers like Heady Topper, and Sip of Sunshine, and some of those other really well-known beers from Vermont. It's really fruity and with a hint of kind of what people will describe as dankness, or like oniony garlic on the background, which I think is really nice. A little bit of a different note from a lot of the New England IPAs that are very fruity. Hui came out of our batch 100.
And we called it batch 100, but then we had to come up with names, and we finally landed on Hui, because Hui, the name is, it's, you kind of use it in tongue-in-cheek, it's a bunch of Hui, a hazy IPA, that's a bunch of Hui.
We wanted to make something similar to Blissful Ignorance, but more of a standard IPA level. Use a little bit of different hops, and that batch 100 ended up being a really great beer for us also. So we decided to give it a name and keep making it, and have it join Blissful as one of our year-round kind of flagship beers.
I've also seen a whole lot of your beers in stores the same day they've been canned. How do you do that, and why do you make that a priority?
Why do we do that? Well, one, we do that because we believe the beer, as most people know, the fresher you get it, the better it is. No different than coming off the tap or the day that you put it into a keg. So it's a little bit of an approach that Heady Topper used out for Alchemist out east, where people would line up and wait for their deliveries. They know exactly the day they were canning and when they were going to be delivered. Or originally it was they canned and people came to their brewery because their laws are different out in Vermont. And so that was kind of to create that same bit of a craze of, hey, we're canning, we're delivering, and it's going to be fresh that day. How do we do it? We do all of our own self-distribution. We have the team, basically, we have three trucks right now, and by the time we're done canning, that crew is already starting to load up with product.
Most places limit people to 1 or 2 4-packs at the moment. We're working on getting the supply a little bit more regularly.
Right now, trying to meet the demand that's out there, and we've got waiting lists, so we couldn't have asked for anything better. When you have a waiting list, it's a good situation to be in.
It's kind of overwhelming. It's really flattering. I feel like we got really lucky, because there's a lot of really excellent beers out there that never get the recognition that we somehow were able to capture with Blissful and Hui. So I guess with that being said, just doing my best to make sure that it meets people's expectations.
Usually on tap, we've been as high as, I think it was Big Beer Week, which was in March. We may have had 16 different beers on tap at that time, but we're trying to work our way back to get more closer to that 10 to 12 beers on tap. Right now, I believe we have like 8. Probably every 3 weeks you'd see a new style beer, and it'll probably continue. And we've got beers that also that are in barrels that we brewed and that they're aging, that are big beers. Like our biggest beer that we've served has been a 13% Barrel God, which was a big Russian Imperial Stout. We've got a couple other Imperial Stouts. We've got a Belgian Strong that we had. So we have those sitting in barrels. We have right now 16 barrels, combination between dark and golden sour beers that are in our back warehouse area that have been inoculated with the wild yeast for over a year now.
The most exciting thing I think about Lupulin growing is just hopefully getting this beer that's created a lot of excitement here locally to a few more people.
We are prepping ourselves for the future. It's always been part of our 5-year plan and growth, where even in our business plan, Matt and I both wanted to be a major player within the Midwest market for craft beer. So obviously we got a lot of Minnesota yet to cover because we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg with what we're delivering to. So we're actively working right now on some future expansion plans. But yeah, we plan on, hopefully our goal is, 3,000 next year, and hopefully just keep almost like doubling that number as you go. So I'll kind of let people kind of do the calculations as they think, but 3, 6, 12, 20, that's our goal.
And it'll be exciting to see exactly how Lupulin Brewing plans on getting to that 20,000 barrels a year.
Yeah, for sure. I used to live up in that area, and we go there every once in a while, and it's just been fun to see them grow, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So here at New Bohemia, they are a fast casual restaurant, great food. They have many locations all across the metro area, and they're bringing that European beer hall feel to Minnesota.
It's all locally owned, so about 5 years ago it started out in northeast Minneapolis, right next to Kramarczyk's. The basic concept is brats and beer. It's based on a German beer hall theme, except we don't really serve German food. It's more of an Americanized version of the German beer hall. So we have 7 locations plus a food truck. We focus just on sausages, giant pretzels. We added hamburgers last year, but just a couple. It's mainly, again, just sausages. We have 35 craft beers on tap, They rotate pretty frequently. About 75% of them are all local too. So it's all fast casual. So basically, when people come in, they can order right away. Sometimes we encourage them to order a beer right away. Go sit down, take a look at the menu, come on up and decide if they want to have, like an alligator brat or a rattlesnake brat, or even, some of the tamer ones, just like our surly beer brat is our most popular by far, but we have lots of other great options too. So all the brats, all natural. There's no additives in there. They're all made from whole cuts of meat. It's from locally sourced, family-owned farms. So you're getting some really good quality meat. So everything's under $10, so that's great. We also carry some vegan brats, which have been very, very popular too. We have the giant pretzels, which are sourced from a couple that lived in Germany for a few years and came back here, and they found no pretzels that they liked here. So they, wrote to their friends in Germany, got the recipe from their friends in Germany, and make them here. Usually, what happens when we bring it out is, like one person will have ordered it before, and like 3 other people just have no idea about it. So we'll put it out. They immediately take pictures of it with their phone because it's giant. Like the pretzel is as big as my wrist around. It's as big as a large pizza. So, people are very, very impressed with it. But the size, of course, isn't the most impressive thing. It's just a really flavorful, delicious pretzel. Belgium, of course, is famous for having the best fries on the planet. So we did a bunch of research on why that is. They're all hand cut here daily, and we have a special rinsing process, and then we double fry them so they maintain their crispness. They're great fries. These 3 mustards right here, we have a Saison, the Honey Weiss, and the Stout and Herb mustard. They're all made in-house. We soak the seeds in beer overnight. They're all custom blended here. I think they're all really good. My favorite is the Saison, but all 3 are great. So we actually have 2 collaborations now. One is with Third Street Brewing, and they make our New Bohemia lager. They've been doing it for probably about a year and a half now. And then we just also teamed up a few months ago with Sociable Cider Works, and they make our Nubo Rat Apple Cider. Cider is very dry, tart, so it's something that's going to be for a little bit more advanced cider drinker. The New Bohemia lager is for someone who is a little bit overwhelmed by our initial selection and maybe just wants a light lager to begin with, and then they can kind of step up from there. Because we have the communal tables, it's more of a communal sort of experience. So, when you come with your family, you might interact with some other people that are right next to you. It depends how crowded it is and so on and so forth. All locations, you're able to eat outside throughout the summer months, so it's great to have all the fresh air coming in. If people want, again, that German beer garden experience, you can kind of experience that out on one of our porches, one of our patios. It's just fun kind of people watching because, again, you have this communal experience. It's been, the past 5 years in the Twin Cities have been insane in terms of 5 years ago, it was mostly out-of-state breweries, European breweries shipping stuff in. Now it's completely different. We have, uncountable breweries because there are like 1 or 2 opening per week, just in the Twin Cities alone, let alone the entire state of Minnesota. So it's gone from a very outward-centric beer movement to a very, very inward-focused beer movement in Minnesota. Most of the beer that you're getting from these newer breweries, even right away, it's pretty good stuff. I want them to know that they should probably order the cheese curds, pretzel, ask your bartender what their favorite beer at the moment is, and be adventurous and just try it. We have a lot of different varieties of tastes here from my staff, so I'm going to be suggesting something completely different than Russ over there is going to be suggesting. It's just going to be a fun experience, kind of a fun communal kind of place to play and just drink beer and have fun.
Well, Danica, I think it's about time we really just actually start to dive into this food. So let's wrap up this show today because this is just looking mighty tasty and I'm ready to get into it.
Well, before we go, we do want to thank New Bohemia, Lupulin Brewing, and Pryes Brewing for having us out and sharing their stories.
And remember, drink good beer and drink it responsibly.